No, he's trying to. I'm steady working, executing goals, one time for the soul. I do it for the passion, not for the gold. I rise to the shows and one of us pro. We be so kind of watch the both of us go. Starting from the bottom, from the soil we grow. We know we plant seeds, watch us MC. Trying to fill my soul when it's empty. But that's when the Lord had to check me. He said to overcome what's tempting. People try to rob from your blessings. That's why I live my life so stress free. Alright, we're gonna get started. So. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Philosophy of Chillin. I'm your host, Don't Let It Connect. And yet again, I'm not by myself. I'm joined with two amazing people, a part of this amazing group. We're gonna dive into it, but before we get into all that, let me just go ahead and let them introduce themselves.
What's going on, man? It's Pro the Wondrous Child. One half of Rap Innovators, man. Innovator ENT in the building.
How's it going, man? My name is Mark Smooth. I'm the other half of the Rap Innovators, representing Innovator ENT. You already know what it is.
And, that's the first time. Well, maybe not the first time. The second time I've actually heard y'all do your intro, and the name Rap Innovators. It really caught my attention because you would think, because you're utilizing not an action verb, but you are talking about innovation in general and incorporating that into your titling and branding, and you don't see a lot of people doing that. It's either, a reflection of their personas, or, these other personalities that they adapt, or even just themselves, but it typically is from like an individual standpoint outside of just, groups in general.
Right.
So what made you all go down the path of naming yourselves Rap Innovators?
So, at the beginning, I was listening to a lot of Tribe Called Quest. I'm a big Tribe fan, and like I love hip hop, like all the way around. But like one of my favorite groups, Tribe Called Quest, and there's a song that they got on one of their albums. It's called the song is called Motivators, and I heard them, talk about they had their opening verse, and I heard the word innovators, and for me it just that word just stuck out for me. I always wanted to have like that group name that would just stick. Like I always thought about that when I thought about names of great hip hop groups, like Tribe and De La Soul and Wu-Tang Clan. Those are names that those stick. Those names. You know what it is. So I kind of wanted that same thing. With us. At the beginning. So it came from that idea, and then I ended up bringing it to Pro.
Yeah, nah. And when he brought it to me, I wasn't even completely sold on it at first. Cause I mean, for anybody to hear like Rap Innovators for the first time, like it's like, wait, what? Like it's right. Like it catches your ear. You like, what is that? But it kind of makes you intrigued. So like that was my first reaction. Like I'm intrigued. Okay, like I'm not completely sold on it, but it could be something. What I mean? Then I got to thinking about, what I stand for, and, what the music that I want to hear, and pretty much the music that we make, how it fits into, what is happening today. And like that is innovative, the music that we make, the music that I like, the music that resonates and lives forever. What I mean? That's the innovative music that pushes boundaries and doesn't necessarily conceal itself in a box or in a trend or for the moment type of sound. So yeah, that's pretty much where it came from.
Okay. Just so y'all know, that's not how I typically introduce the show. I just genuinely wanted to ask that. I've been waiting to ask y'all that this whole time. I'm just been like, what made y'all just be like, yeah, rap innovators? Like, what?
Yeah.
But okay. So with that being said, I don't typically release the theme of the actual episode until we start recording. So the theme of this conversation is actually through innovation. So the question that I'll be aiming to unpack, um, is what I'm about to ask, and the points we hit will matriculate into, what happens next.
Yeah.
So with that being said, uh, what was the moment where you registered, like, because you all are mature individuals, so what moment in life was it for you where your past, your present, and then where you saw yourself being? What was that moment like when it registered? Okay, this is the ideology that I want to put into the music, and ultimately work myself up to becoming this representation of innovation.
For me, I mean, I think that was from the very beginning. And we dropped our first record, what was it, 2020? Yeah, like either right before or like right during the pandemic. And even our first record, for those that are day one rap innovator fans, Innovator Entertainment is Kings and Queens. So anybody, you go back and look at that record, like that was the first one that introduced us to the world. And that record was pretty much, talking about how queens should view themselves, how kings should conduct themselves. So when we talk about like where we realize like where our path has to align with innovation, like it's always been that. And I think that first song happened like that because of probably what we had already seen, coming up or growing up, or the stuff that we had already been exposed to. So it's subconscious in a way. Like, I don't think it's like, all right, on this day, I know like I'm gonna make this type of music and go in this direction. But it's just like over time, you live through stuff, and then what you live through just ultimately comes out in the art. If the art is genuine. So I like we started off making genuine records, and that's where you get the genuine messaging and the genuine innovation from.
Nah, definitely. I agree with what Pro is also saying. For me, and him, it's deeper than just the rap. We're talking about a brotherhood for almost 20 years. This is my brother. So music, no music. This is us. And um, it came to me at a certain time for me, in my point of view. I never wanted to be really a solo artist. You know, I always wanted to form like a group or something. And why not do it with my brother? Who I know that can rap, that's dope, that has an ear for music. Just like how I do. So it really just, like I said, goes from way back. It's deeper than the actual art form of rap. You know what I'm saying? That's real.
Oh, I thought you was about to say something. But I mean, nah, that's interesting. Like, okay, all right, I have questions. So individually, let me go back before I go forward, because I definitely want to dive more into what your vision of innovation looks like and what the evolution of that looks like. Because regardless, you said this is timeless. So like, what type of ripple effects are you looking for? You know what I'm saying? But before I get into that, y'all were individuals before y'all became like group, before y'all started to do this stuff as partners, which is like very commendable because that can be very tough, especially when you're talking about the maturity of one's career and everything else. So with that being said, before y'all even like became rap innovators, how did y'all deal with your individual journeys of this rapping shit? Like, I'm about to study this shit. I'm about to get my own voice in this shit. Like, I'm about to do this in a way where I'm putting myself and stamping. Like, if you can't tell me you heard this anywhere else, because ain't nobody else did it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, for me, it was pretty much just putting in the reps to understand what your sound's gonna be over time. Like, I mean, everybody has their own influences as far as like, what they like to listen to when they on their own, and naturally, you're already gonna gravitate kind of towards that sound. So for me, it was a lot of, Dre, Andre Three Stacks. Like, it was a lot of um, Lauren Hill, because he'll tell you I'm a big fan of, like, the R&B aspect too. And that's why sometimes when you'll hear, my verses, you'll hear like some melodic, deliveries, in certain pockets, and then you'll hear some different cadences in certain pockets too that wouldn't be, the norm, like, rhyming 2 and 4 or 1 and 3. You know what I mean? So those, I guess rhyme patterns or deliveries, would come from, those artists that can do both sides. You know what I mean? And that's kind of like what I love the most, I guess I would say, because, for me, it gives you that feeling. You know what I mean? And I still, love, straight raw rap too. Don't get me wrong, because that is where the pockets and the rhyme scheme and the like you said that, but that really meant this, that, and that at the same time. Like that is its own art form in and of itself. So definitely, how Big would put his shit together, just telling a story, having the end of one line lead you to the next. And like everything's not a punchline, but everything don't even come together till he say the last bar. And then you just got to reflect on the whole verse. Like, what? So that's really the essence of what I study. Like when I'm looking at how do we construct a record, we're looking at, all right, what message are you trying to tell first? Because that's what keeps your music organic, and authentically you. Second, once what message you're trying to tell, okay, how are you going to deliver it? How are you creatively going to stand out and do this differently than you've heard it done before? And that's where your influences come in. And then it's like, we always talk a lot about song structure too. Like it's not just 16/8, 16/8, just for verses and hooks, but it's like, okay, we're gonna give you a sample at the beginning to lay this out like an introduction. Okay, so now you got to listen. Okay, what was that sample they played at the beginning? What was that sound bite? It may be a conversation, it may be a sportscaster. Then it's gonna go into the verse. You know what I mean? And then the verse is gonna slowly build you up. It's almost like writing a paper, like writing an essay. You got your introduction, your thesis, your middle, and your conclusion. So when we approach records, we try to give them a whole like record, like masterpiece type. Like, okay, damn, they did that at 15 seconds, 30 seconds, and then they brought the sample from the beginning and tied it back in at the end. Now I see like the whole picture you trying to paint, because like words, can literally make you see, shit better than a lot can. Like imagery is key. So that's what we do, and that's how we try to execute it. Make your pictures, make your words paint pictures. Yeah.
You know, for me, like from the beginning, I come from a very strong Puerto Rican background, um, and with that, it's a lot of rhythms. A lot of the music that we play, the salsa music, the reggae, the reggaeton music, the all the bachata, all that stuff that we play has so much rhythm, bass, and like it's you couldn't get away from that, and with me, as I was growing up, listening to all that stuff, I found my way towards hip hop, and my stepfather, he's the one that put me into hip hop music, and I mean, when I tell you I love hip hop, like I love that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like that, like I eat, sleep, I wake up thinking hip hop, and it's what it's just it's part of my DNA now, and when I see or when I do my research and go back from those 90s or the 80s, and I go back and actually do you do your research, you do your history, because there's one thing that I can't stand right now is the ageism that's in hip hop right now, because you got people that be in the game for 10 years now, you're old. That's crazy. Like, with me growing up, for me, I wasn't thinking about how old was Fat Joe, or how old was Nas, or how old was Lauryn Hill
Yeah, you
or
just
Michael
fuck with the
Jackson.
music.
The music, I fell in love with their music, and and that is the main thing. Like, I've had this conversation earlier today, as a matter of fact, that everybody is so focused on everything else except what the music is supposed to sound like. You know, the clothes you wear, the drugs you take, the weed you smoke, all that, and you're not thinking about what's the main important thing, and it's the music, it's the hip hop. You know what I'm saying? This is It's the culture. Like I mean, you see the shirt. You know what I'm saying? Like like you said earlier, you talked about like how I see it as far as like the evolution. You know what I'm saying? We're seeing it right now. I got to see it. It's 50 years of hip hop. You know what I'm saying? And come 50 years later, I felt like Rap Innovators came from that, and I want us to represent a 50 more, if not forever. You get what I'm saying? Like, that's my vision, and I want to stand the test of times. You know what I'm saying? Like, Tupac gonna live forever, Biggie gonna live forever, Rap Innovators gonna live forever, and that's how I feel. You know what I'm saying? And that's what we're gonna bring to the table. And like my man says, yeah, the song structure and everything, but we care about this music, how it's supposed to sound like. You know what I mean? So, and unity, man. Unity is one of the biggest things that we also trying to represent and show that we're more powerful. You know what I'm saying? In numbers together. Too many egos out there. You don't see too many rap duos anymore. You know what I'm saying, that come off a genuine, like how this is a brotherhood. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm that's what we represent.
You don't see too many rap duos. You don't see too many people in general, moving, with respect, or coming like, okay, my intentions aside, like, okay, giving straight up love to whatever your next man got going on. It's always like, oh, nah, if he eating, then, I'm looking sideways. I'm trying to see how I can eat off of what he doing. Like, it's less genuine love out here than it really should be. So, we feel like, it's our job as individuals and everybody's job really to be that. So that way, as a whole, we all can push this shit in a different direction.
No, for real. I definitely agree to that point and to previous ones as well. Um, it's definitely an acknowledgement, a task, a responsibility, a daily choice as well to maintain and elevate within that mindset. And that's not just with one environment considered as with all environments considered, all situations. And I guess that leads me to my question. Of course, we're gonna go to the project, but I definitely want to tackle this one first. How was it dealing with not necessarily the pressure of the external um, encouragement or whatever you may have experienced, but how was it experiencing like the internal acknowledgement struggle to be just like, bro, yes, like I know you have, even if I haven't worked as much as I want to, but even amongst that transition point to where you finally say like, bro, if I know I'm spinning with full confidence. How was that like? Like what development did y'all see within yourself from that experience?
I mean, we probably harder, on each other, than anybody else could be. So, while we writing verses, we calling each other, we damn near talk every day. Our wives will tell you, they be like, God damn, he calling again.
God,
but,
that I know.
but that's how it be, especially, when you constantly working and trying to, make sure, we doing this shit at the highest level. And speaking of the wives, like we do got families and shit at the same time. So every chance that we get to discuss or or to work, like it has to be at the highest level. And we got to get shit done. Like we can't be out here wasting time. We can't be going to certain venues that don't really matter. We can't be just in the studio smoking and not like no, like we got to get shit done. So as we busting out these verses, as we making these tracks, a lot of times before we even get in the studio, we'll be on the phone like, yo, check this. And I'll spit it, and then vice versa, he'll write something, he'll be like, yo, listen to this, and then we'll give each other feedback before we even get in the lab, so that way by the time we in there, especially if it's a paid session, most of the time we work out of the spot, and it's in-house, but if we really want to take something to the next level, we'll go outside and make sure that it's done at the highest level. So when we in spaces like that, it's it's no playtime. Like we coming to get shit work, and a lot of times like we knocking shit out faster than the engineer can damn close it up and go to the next one. So it's that level of confidence. Like nah, we coming to work. So nah, that's nothing. And like I said, we hard on ourselves. We know the type of music that we love and that we listen to, and if it's not at that level or better, it's not coming out. So that's just where, and we always constantly trying to get better. I'm not saying we perfect, but I am saying like we know this shit and we do this shit. So like you're not gonna get no half-ass projects from us.
Yeah, that's real. I like that though. I like that. Um, it ain't nothing wrong with nicely, timely, well intentional, constructed art. Like, cause I know even in y'all head, y'all got your own timeline and schedule. Y'all like, bro, like this should have been out last week, but we had to go back to the studio to go tweak this and tweak that, just because it wasn't feeling right. And now we gotta push it back, but it's coming. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Nah, that's real. That's real. And I mean, shit, you roll with it. You know what I mean? Because I'm a firm believer that what's for you is for you, and can't nobody or nothing take that away. Especially if everything is in God's predestined plan, and I am a believer of God. He is too. That's how we grew up. So it's like how I look at it is, as long as you actively working towards the stuff that you said you was gonna do, that's your job. And it's not your job to be mad over, oh, this happened or this happened. Like, no, are you maximizing your day to 24 hours in your day and doing everything that you could be doing to reach your goal? If your answer to that is yes, then I don't give a damn how anybody else looks at it. Now if their answer to that is no, then maybe we need to do some self-reflection and understand why it is that you're not where you want to be at. But for anybody that's secure in their own path, secure in who they are and what they're working towards, like all the outside noise is really irrelevant. And it takes a strong individual to put their art out in the first place, and it takes a even stronger individual to be like, okay, now I'm gonna be consistent with this, within the confines of what my life says that is. One person's consistency may not be the same as the next person because you're not dealing with everything that person's dealing with. So as long as you know that you're being as consistent as you can be with the hand that you've been dealt, then fuck all the outside noise, and that's how we look at it. And if as you're on that path you don't make it, then maybe it wasn't meant for you to make it. But if as you're on that path doors continue to open, and guess what, you doing what you're supposed to be doing. And I've told him, and we've had conversations about that since the beginning. Like, it always seems to be like, as we've been on this journey, everything has lined up how it's supposed to. We haven't had to chase nothing. We ain't had to sell out or act different or change the way we move or talk in front of certain rooms, certain spaces. Like, no, we are just genuinely ourselves. We put out the music we want to put out. We push the messages we want to push, and these doors open up because of that. Because we're not trying to chase shit or trying to change ourselves or follow the trends, and shit just comes because you when you move genuinely, like I said, what's for you gonna be for you, and that's how we live, and shit has been working this far.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that was an amazing way to put it. It's definitely difficult to follow up with that outside of a creation that you are currently executing. Well, a vision that you're currently executing, and that is back to the basics.
Mm-hmm.
So outside of just the name in general, I know for me, as I was listening to what you all were trying to provide for the community, it's ever watch like when someone says it's like watching poetry in motion. Y'all listening to y'all talk about just the project in general, what's to come, not even trying to get too deep, but just even in the synopsis, I could feel just how much y'all have spent making sure the details are exactly how they need to be so that the impact can be felt when it's experienced, if that makes sense. So taking the mic away from me, can you just provide as much description into the process as you feel comfortable of, one, where the idea came from, and then two, how do you see it as if it were present day? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Our last project that we released was called Destined to Shine. It's available on all streaming platforms. Definitely check it out. We dropped that the following year from our first project. But with Destined to Shine, we was kind of like foretelling, like letting y'all know, like, look, we've been destined for this. Like, we coming. Like we got a whole movement. Like we coming. But I felt like in order for us to really get to that point, because everything's been a learning process for me in pro. Like he said earlier, we're not perfect. We don't know everything. But because of how we moved, we've been able to manage, and God's been lining it up for us. So with that being said, we had to take it back to the basics. Almost like for me at least, it was almost like a rehumbling type of thing because you know I want to keep that hunger because I love this. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I love MCing, I love rapping, and I love talking about what we're talking about because you know our music reflects our lives, and not just everybody, not just for just us individually, because a lot of times we talk about what be going on in our individual lives through our music, but you have other people that they come to me like, yo, um, that song that y'all did change, hey man, that made me cry. For somebody to tell me like, yo, like they cried on my song, I'm like, wow, that it felt good. Like so at that point, like you said earlier, there's a responsibility. You know what I'm saying? There is a responsibility that I felt like Rap Innovators, has to really be on it. You know what I'm saying? And I never wanted to lose sight of the how the music gonna sound. Cause we dealing with business stuff and trying to handle all this other stuff. We're learning, but at least for me, because I'm constantly with my guys, with my producers. Shouts out to Kron and Tony Marco and everyone. We get in the room and Rashid, we get in the room and we go and dig for samples and dig for stuff, and I'm focused on trying to make that music sound good because when that rap innovator come out, it's gonna be something hard. It's gonna be something different, and I stand by that innovative name, by the innovator. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody, it speaks for everybody. Everybody is an innovator. You know, um, Rather if you're a cook, a dentist, a rapper, a singer, it doesn't matter, a songwriter. You're an innovator. And you have your own story to bring. And this is ours. This is our story, and we're just gonna bring it back to the basics and show them, that this is what we love from the beginning. We regular kids from around the inner city. Just doing what we love. So and the good thing is with that also in that project, we also brought people that we've known that are very talented. That we know them for a very long time. Some from high school, and they're very talented people. So I'm glad that we was able to be in that creative space where everybody was kind of just thinking alike. So that it was definitely back to the basics when you think about that. You know what I mean? Like me and Pro, we always got together. We used to hoop, all of our friends together. It was one of those type of feelings. You know.
Yeah, man. I mean, we just giving people a different perspective, really. That's how I look at it. It's just, you know, so much music, whether it's on the radio or YouTube or Instagram, like it it desensitizes people to like while they're scrolling, they know what's coming. They know it's gonna be a ass in their face. They know it's gonna be, some guns or some shit. And I ain't never been one to just like knock certain shit because I'm just as ratchet as the next person. You know what I'm saying? But that's just get back to what we were talking about as far as the balance. We just want to provide that alternate perspective to where it's like, yeah, that shit is cool. And if it's Friday or Saturday, you'll probably catch me doing the same shit. But at the same time, probably, Monday through Friday, like I'm on this type of time, and I want, more people to just take time out to understand like there's two sides to this coin, and music is so powerful. Like, start training your mind and feeding yourself different sides of that coin too. Yeah.
That was a good one. That was a good one. Yeah. So I got a couple more. Okay, I got one more question. One more question, I swear. And then we're getting towards the end. So I typically pass off the microphone to y'all, and y'all can have the platform to ask me any question y'all want to. It could pertain to innovation or not. But my last question is, when it comes to you seeing projects like Back to the Basics, and then what we have working on, well, what we're working on now, when it comes to how you see it evolving, what does your participation look like in regards to its promotion, its engagement with its audience, if that makes sense? All of that.
For us, it's just putting out visuals to pretty much every record on the track. So that's definitely gonna be a big jumping off point where um, you know different scenes, different reels. It may not be the whole song, but we want to get at least pieces of content and different scenery, different visuals for every track. Just to help bring it to life, so that way they know, like, okay, I could be listening to this in this element. Sometimes we may be in the car, sometimes we may be on the job, sometimes we may be walking down the street. So just showing them these different tracks in different spaces, to where it's like, yo, this is music for any type of setting. you know and then of course just letting them digest it that way, because a lot of times if it ain't a video to go with it, ain't nobody gonna be looking at it anyway. So it's like that's almost like you have to do that now. You can't really just, you can drop music without visuals, but it's like, yo, you need to have something for them to look at. So definitely that. We're trying to do at least 2 to 3 um, showcases, performances, um, you know probably a month right now. But as it gets closer to the tape, as many as come up, that we can fit into the schedule. So definitely getting out there and touching the people, and making sure they see us in person, and give it to them real raw. That's where we get a lot of the love from, to be honest, is when we do our live shows. And that's where, like, a lot of the organic growth comes from too, hand to hand, like people really seeing you, knowing like, okay, it's different from whatever may be on the ground. And then of course, like, interviews, podcasts, stuff, things like this. Different blogs, they got the drop mics, they got different um, you know pages, or YouTube channels that offer, you can go on there and spit your shit. So it's like I said, the same pathway we've been on. Probably going to the shows is what usually opens up the doors for those other platforms. So definitely, if you ever see us post flyers, come out to our live shows. It'll be a good experience. And yeah, from there, just getting out there and giving them the bars. Like, that's the whole game plan. Yeah.
All right, well, the floor is yours.
Any questions?
Shit, not right now. There's some good conversation right now. So right now, I got no questions right off the head.
Okay. One question I wanted to ask is, what made you get into this space? I guess one, that's maybe like a multi-parted question, but like, what made you get into the space, and like, how long have you been doing it, and maybe even like you know certain influences that may have pushed you to you know open up the platform for different people to express, or pushed you to push your messaging to more people. Like, what was the driving force behind that?
Yeah, well, thank you for your question. So, yeah, I think about that. Okay, so
I'm gonna answer it in like two parts. So I'm gonna address the concept or how I got into this space, like podcasting in general. Is that what you meant?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Um, yeah, I like books. So I had started reading at a very young age, and I just knew a lot of shit. Very knowledgeable, very intelligent, and I had a great support system to tell me stuff. But I stayed in my head in regards to just how I moved and how I planned things. But once one person said to me, if you want to apply your skills, maybe think of consulting. So I was like, okay, don't know what that was, did research. I like the sound of it. So I started developing those skill sets, focused on business, but I always had curiosity when it came to the creative arts. So I first started off playing the saxophone, progressed my way from elementary, middle, high, graphic design, photography, like um, painting at a certain point. Just something to put my hands on and do. I figured out I could sketch in high school. That was wild. But it kept pulling me back. Then college, a friend of mine at the time had asked me, hey, well, even before this happened, but the other podcast that I do, it's what helped me get over the hump of being on camera. But before, when I had thought of the idea of my consulting company, um, you gotta build accreditation. And if I'm already gonna be an independent, like I knew I wanted my own businesses, but like ain't nobody gonna fuck with you if they can't trust you. You feel me? So I was like, how am I gonna build my accreditation? And then the idea came to do a podcast. And I was like, hell no. Like I ain't got the mental aptitude to deal with it. You feel me? Like supposed to be talking, I'm at you, like, you know what I'm saying? It's crazy out here. So I'm like, but I sat on it, it wouldn't leave my head. Then I got introduced to the bucket list. I don't know if I ever, or if you've seen it, if I talked about it, but I did. One of my friends came to me and was like, we need your help to manage. And then I was like, I watched the show. I was like, it's uneven. Like, you have these two polar opposite of individuals, and this dude is by himself. So, that's how I started becoming the host and being on the visual camera. So I got comfortable there, and it just flowed. I got that's basically it. Yeah, like I got definitely led into this space. So right now, in regards to the other part of your question, you were talking about
I said like how long or influences or something.
yeah, what were the influences towards creating this, or in general, I'm guessing.
Yeah, because this is roughly that's what you
Mm-hmm.
that's what you started. Okay, so like what led you to creating that?
People, experiences. That's what I was forgetting to say. That's why I was saying I was led into this, because just going through life in general, I just always kept hearing like, "Why are you Dunlap so chill? Why is Dunlap chill?" Like, I I was I saw you at this party. You were just like chilling. Like I'm like,
nothing wrong with chilling. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you feel me? So I kept hearing it, and then my reply is like, yeah, I am just chilling, but it's never enough time in the moment to say, but that's not everything I'm doing. Like, of course, it may come across as chilling, but like, if you really want to get into it, like, let's get into how I woke up at fucking 7 a.m. and it's 1 a.m. right now. We in the club, like, you feel me? Like,
shit going on.
You know what I'm saying? Man, what? You got events and shit happening, like, and that's why I was saying earlier, it was definitely like a dual development because I was on the business side because of consulting. But man, when I tell you, it's like artists drag me back out. They're like, "Where do you think you're getting too far deep into with these suits and shit? Come outside. We need you to do this." I'm like, shit. I loved it. Like, I love helping the people. So that is really what influenced me because, like, the support system I've gained, there have been like bolder and bolder individuals that are just like, yeah, you're playing. Yeah. This is on your brain. Do that shit. Do that shit right now. And I'm just like, okay. You feel me? Like, I can't. So it's like now that it's in motion, they're just sitting there like, okay, for sure. Right. Yeah, that's how it be.
So, my question for you right now is like, so podcast in general right now it's been the thing right now. It's been, it's dominating, it's going over, you hear more podcasts than radio shows now. What are your favorite podcasts, and where do you see, moving forward, where do you see the evolution within like these podcasts, and where do you see that going in the future?
That's a great question. Oh, well, in regards to the first one, who would I watch? I don't watch anybody consistently. I'm gonna be honest.
Okay.
I move around too much. I try to sit down, but it don't really work out for too long.
You got shit to do.
You feel me? So
I mean, I'll be at work. I have my headphones on. I don't necessarily watch it. Sometimes I'm just listening.
Yeah, that's facts. But I mean, honestly, I'm not gonna say I wish because that's not how I actually feel. But my job does not allow me to put headphones in, and if I can, like, it's me sneaking in the small breaks in between. So it's like it don't work out. So like when I can, I try to like listen. But that's why I say like I listen to a little bit of everybody because people more often than not, they'll suggest I listen to a specific episode. Like they'll be like, "Oh, bro, I heard this," or "So and so just dropped this. Like, listen to this. Like, let me know what you think." And I'd be like, "Okay," but like I'll listen to it. So that's how I come across a lot of like people that aren't already in my algorithm, and then with the people that are, like I said, I love how they articulate their topics. That's one thing that I do appreciate about the space and its variety. Like, if you want to find something, pretty sure podcasting, like, within itself, you can find it.
Yeah, right.
You can, I promise. You feel me? Like, search it. It can be the wildest thing out here. The wildest thing. It might be a podcast for you. So, in regards to like how I see it evolving, honestly, right now, because I am so tunnel vision, I know it's a lot of podcasts out here, but I don't know the gravity of the situation.
I got something. So random that you asked that because I just I pulled up Amazon Prime the other day, and they now have a live TV section under Amazon Prime. I was like, okay, so I guess they show certain sports or basketball games, whatever. I'm scrolling down, and then I literally see this one network, and it's a podcast on live TV on Amazon Prime. And I was like, "What?" I think it was I think it was Desi's. Matter of fact, you know, him and Walker got one. Desi Bank.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then it was just on live TV on it, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like this is where we at now? But it was love. Like I ain't saying no hate word. It was just like, damn, I never thought I would have saw a podcast on live TV.
Because when you got the company's attention, that's how you know it's motion behind it. Like I remember, this is a little off track. I'm gonna get back on track. Good. But I remember when I went to a recent Atlanta United game, they giving out free scratch off for the lottery tickets. I said, since when does
free scratch off?
I think so. I'm not sure. I don't know if they just did it for that particular game, but I said, since when?
Free scratch offs is crazy.
Since when? Georgia Lottery don't get involved unless it's money involved. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. So I was like, okay, that's y'all doing y'all things over here. But yeah, no, that was a sidetrack. But okay, evolve. Honestly, I see it basically developing its. We have categories now, but I still feel like it's in a what was it, amateur state? There it is. Like an amateur state. Like people are just like, yeah, podcast, you know, you can. But I feel like eventually it'll start building its own credibility. So like people will start being like, okay, well, this is a reliable source type that I can, and people are doing it now, but I don't think it's as well adapted to the people that are still getting introduced to what podcasting is and what it can offer, you know, to different individuals.
And it's like that in rap. Now, you know, you got people that rap that's not supposed to be rapping, and then you got people that do podcasts that ain't supposed to be doing no damn podcast. I mean, that's just the realest. But I have another question that I want to ask you is when you are in a podcast with an artist or with anybody that's within the arts, like how do you prep yourself before you get to, you know, interact with the artist?
That is a great question. Nobody has asked me that before. Well, transparently speaking, I'm always watching and observing. So I typically figure out who I would want to invite before it may even happen. Like I like to allow things to happen naturally. So it's like, especially when it's in the scene, bro, trying to have a conversation. What, bro? Like, nigga, what you just say to me? Like, I can't hear you. Like, I'm trying, but it's not happening. So I try not to be too forceful on that matter, and just, if I see you again, like, bro, I know it's locked in because I have to see you for the recording, and even if I come across you online, I still want to make sure that I'm being aware of who you are coming across as or portraying within your artwork or your passion, because I essentially just want to have a conversation with the person and the passion itself, because in my eyes, at least how I dissect it, they can stand alone depending on the ideology and mentality of the person. So I just try to identify with what I can and then see what happens from there, honestly. But I typically get good folks though.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. No, I always, you know, because you know, not everybody, you know, do research. You know, because people's attention spans is just so, you know, small, short. So it's good to see somebody like yourself that does their research, that actually takes the time to really get to know the artist, study on the artist, or or any person that you're interviewing, or in a podcast. I think that's great. What I'm saying, and that is what I need to see more of in other. So when I look at, because I listen to a lot of podcasts myself when I be working, because at my job I do be having my headphones in, but that gets me, well, I can have my headphones at my job without even a problem. I'm a mechanic, so when I'm working on something and I'm listening to something, because I may listen to Drink Champs or something, or I might listen to uh, Talib Kweli. He has a podcast that I would listen to, and that's that's a good thing, That's a good thing, that what you do.
No, I appreciate that for sure.
Nah, I mean, I ain't really got much to say, but nah, I definitely echo that, and I agree with you. Like us personally, we don't let too many just random people into our space either. Like especially as crazy as it is out here now, like anybody that we deal with, like it has to feel right first off, and then what you pushing and what you standing for. Most of the time it usually has to align with what we got going on too. I mean, not always. Some stuff you do just because you out here, it's part of the game. But for the most part, like we try to align ourselves and surround ourselves with people that are like minded.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. So, as always, we're just chilling. This conversation could really go on for quite a few minutes longer. But y'all gotta go. So, I'm done lab to connect, and they're gonna tell you again where to find them, where to get connected, and who they are.
Yeah, man. Innovator Entertainment on IG. That's Innovator, INNOVATORENT. You can go to the website, same thing, innovatorenT.com. You want to hear anything that we put out, it's Rap Innovators. So that's, Spotify, all your streaming. Be on the lookout, for other artists, producers under the brand. Shout out Eb, shout out Nashar, definitely Tony, Karan, Rashid again, Ashton, one of our other homeboys just dropped too. So yeah, man, Innovator Entertainment everywhere, Rap Innovators everywhere.
Yeah, right. I do got big hands. Sorry, but y'all know what it is. It's the last soul brother, Mark Smooth. Uh, like a shout out to the family, of course. You know what I'm saying. And shout out to y'all. Thank you for having us in here. Peace to all of y'all. Till next time.
And we out of here. Peace.